So now the program has come to a close. What were some of the highlights of the program? Because I know everybody is really adept and understanding of American politics, but there's always those little nuggets that we take away that might be a little different than what you expected.
I had studied American politics at university, but it was quite an academic understanding of the way things worked, like what is an electoral college and how they're constituted. So I think learning particularly about financing and about tax and how they operate and why they exist, and some of the more subtle details was really cool for me. And then I think learning about the different democratic processes and the way parties function per state was also really interesting, because my party, although it is quite federal, it is a federal party, we are quite uniform and quite disciplined in terms of how we run our messaging. And I think that was quite interesting to hear from, a state Democratic Party CEO and chat with her about how they do things. So I think those were probably the two sessions that I enjoyed the most, because they're sort of things you can't really learn unless you're immersed in that experience. And I felt like that's what really sort of helped for me to get a deeper understanding of the sort of less academic, less obvious dynamics of the process.
Really understanding what electoral college is, and then how you have different state election laws, and there is more state autonomy in terms of how you conduct an election. That was very, very interesting, which I had really no idea earlier. And the campaign financing law is another great area, which I think kind of like gave me a pretty good insight of how it has evolved and kind of like recent amendments and how it's developed over a period of time was really interesting to me personally.
Of having mail ballots, for me, was my biggest takeaway. It's interesting that it actually works. I would think that it wouldn't work, but I've come to gain a deeper understanding of your process, and it's actually been good during this COVID time.
The program was amazing for me because I had inspiration. It inspired me to research myself. So I took also, I watched other YouTube videos and documentaries on the US election from different sources. For example, this campaign financing, I found very, very interesting and surprising also how the super PACs are functioning, and also how many things are still in development and maybe prone to reform. That was also very interesting, coming from a country that has now 30 years of democracy since the fall of the Berlin Wall. For me, it was a good sense to see that the democracy is an ongoing process. It's not a finite thing, especially from a country that kind of invented it, I would say, invented in the modern sense.
To sum it up in a word, it would be balance. Sometimes we read a lot of things and we listen to many people in TV and social media who think alike us, in this case, in terms of the US elections. So having speakers from different perspectives who are supporting actually one of the two candidates gives us, and gave me in particular, a very specific insight of how these supporters, activists, and fundraisers see the election,